That's a new sound. Sound like an elevator.
It's our bell system.
Oh, that was your bell system.
Oh.
Okay. And we're live.
It's a beautiful sound at the end of the day.
Yes, it is.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
All right, looks like we got a couple people in here. It's 4 o'clock, so we'll get started here, or at least it's 4 o'clock Central Time. Esther, I don't know if anyone else is with you on the Eastern Time, or if we have anyone Mountain, Pacific, or whatever else, but welcome. I'm Dr. Al Freeman, Director of LCMS School Ministry, and we have with us today Esther Edwards, who is, with a new last name after getting married this summer, and is fourth grade teacher at St. Luke's in Oviedo, Florida. And we have Michaela Harper. It's hard for me not to say Michaela Willoughby, who also was married this last summer. So adds a little dynamic to this year's sessions that we'll be doing once a month all the way through May in terms of new, and we included that newer because really it's anyone who wants to join us and talk about teaching strategies, encouragement, support with one another. And it's great to have Michaela and Esther back with us this year. So we did 3 last year, but what do we have, 9 or 10 of them this year, something like that. So once a month going all the way through. It'll be an exciting time for us. And Michaela and Esther have great things for us today, I know. And why don't we go ahead and get started? Normally I ask them to pray. I'll pray for all of us today, and especially for Michaela and Esther as they have a school year that will be changed a little bit, having a spouse and all kinds of fun things that brings, as well as Michaela's school going through accreditation this year. So another topic that can be discussed here as well. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this wonderful and glorious day. We give you thanks for all that you bring to us each and every day, especially the students and the families that we're able to spread the gospel message in the midst of our educational ministries of excellence and the opportunity that you provide to share your word with everyone each and every day. We give you thanks for Esther and Michaela and for them sharing their time, talents, and abilities with us during these Zoom events as we go throughout this school year. We ask that you continue to be with them and bless them as they continue to celebrate their marriages this summer. And Esther and Michaela have spouses this year, and all that adds to the life and busyness of being a teacher, the celebration and encouragement that will come with that as well, and all the opportunities and the blessings that come from that as well. Be with them and with all the newness that they will experience this school year and can share with all of us here as well. Be with all those schools going through the accreditation process this year. Allow them to be affirmed, to grow, and to celebrate as well. Be with all of us this school year as we celebrate all of our Lutheran schools throughout the United States and the world, and all of those students and families that you bring to us each and every day. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing, some of these topics this year, especially juggling some new things and the opportunity for other people to chime in too. Is sometimes you experience not necessarily being married in the school year or going through accreditation in the school year, but it could be a new grade, could be new curriculum. There's changes all the time in the world of school. So it's always set up here with Michaela and Esther sharing about 15, 20 minutes. I know they have great items today, and they're always open to questions. We leave the last half basically open to anyone that would like to ask a question or, say something about their encouragement and support to all of us as well. Michaela, Esther, all yours.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction and the prayer. And as Al was saying earlier, both Michaela and I have a new beginning with marriage, and it's given us a time to really take a look at our work-life balance. And so we came up with some strategies that will help you because they've helped us. And we'll start with talking about strategies for inside the classroom, and then talk about some strategies or routines for outside of the classroom that will help all of us as teachers. So inside the classroom, when you are a new teacher, you have to, or just beginning a new year or a new quarter, you have to know what routines you value most. When you have a routine in place, then the students know what you expect, and then you have fewer decisions to make throughout the day. Decision fatigue is a real thing. And so by having a standard, you don't have to worry about that as much. One of the top things for routines is to help with behavior management. So think about anything that bothered you when you were a kid. Maybe it was people just getting up in the middle of lessons and then you couldn't refocus, or people sharpening their pencils. You can make a routine for all of those things. So I teach my students a bathroom signal, and they can do that. And then I nod yes or no if they can, and then they go their merry way without me having to stop a presentation, listen to their question, and then resume again. It makes it more seamless, and then it doesn't bother me or the students as much. Sharpening pencils during class always bothered me as a student, and so now I allow them to use the sharpener in the morning, and that's it. Other than throughout the day, they can use personal sharpeners that are nice and quiet. And it helps me do my job because it helps me focus, and it helps the students who need to focus as well. I also create jobs for students based on things that they can help me with, like organizing papers in number order, or organizing the books in the library, or even reminding me to take attendance, especially on Wednesdays when we go to chapel right away. It's really nice to have somebody remind me and help me out. And the students love taking ownership in the classroom anyway. And then when you're a new teacher, organization is key. Some people like using file folders. I have a file folder for Monday, a file folder for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I prepare those a week in advance so that when I come in Monday morning, I am ready to go. And if I have a sub and I don't expect to need one, they have stuff ready to go. Other people use binders. For me, I realized that when I tried using them, it didn't work because the thought of flipping to the right page and undoing the binder and then hole punching the page and putting it in it and closing it, as simple as it is, I just didn't do it as often. I prefer just putting things in piles, and it's a lot quicker for me. So I use bins like this for papers. So all of one assignment goes in this, and I have different bins for all of the different assignments or things that I collect, because students can just stack it there, and then I can go through it and grade it, hand it back, or file it away. So finding something that works for you to where you're actually going to maintain it is going to be key. It is also key to utilize however many minutes of plan time that you get. You might just get 10 minutes or 15 minutes during your students' recess, or maybe you get 40 or more. The quality of your time is really what's going to make a difference. I'm on a team for fourth grade teachers. We have 3 fourth grade classrooms, and we all have the plan time at the same time every day. And so we schedule 2 days a week to meet with one another, share ideas, divvy up tasks. And then the other days I can plan tasks that I need to get done for my own classroom. We also try to batch our tasks. So I'll plan one subject at a time. I'll copy just 1 day a week, or have an aide. I'm lucky enough to have an aide some of the day. And I'll just have them copy 1 day a week and just get it done. I'll schedule 1 day to type the newsletter, a different day to prep for science labs. And when I have just one thing to do, even though they might be big things, I'm more efficient with it. I also, let's say if I know I'm only going to have a 15-minute break, I might dedicate that break to checking emails. And then I don't have to check constantly throughout the day. I noticed that sometimes I would wake up, turn my alarm off, and then just look at my phone and treat it like social media. And I'd get that quick satisfaction of being able to respond to emails and see what's up. And that only trained parents to know that I could respond to them immediately. And that's not what we need. We need margin in our life. And so now I try to schedule time each day, multiple times a day, to check my email. And I try not to look at it much outside of those times. And that's helped me prioritize and stay focused and present with my students as well. I've also tried to limit my grading because I realize that not everything we do in class needs to be graded. Then we're grading more than we're actually spending time planning or reflecting or helping students. And so I try to only grade 1 to 2 things per subject per week. And I try to grade things that students are actually showing their mastery of or their learning of, not things that they worked in like whole group time where I went over all the answers with them, not things that I worked in small group time for. Sometimes I'll have students grade their own work so that they get immediate feedback. And other times I give myself a week to finish grading everything. I try to send home things on Monday from the week before so that students can actually look at my feedback and it's meaningful because it's current for them. And yeah, just take advantage of your plan time, schedule one thing, and then also care for yourself during your own time at home so that you're more energized at school. So find a hobby that you enjoy and schedule time for it. Take time to be with your other adult friends and schedule that time so that you don't schedule a meeting during that time. Schedule family time so that you can honestly say that you're busy when an event is going on, because there's always going to be events going on and you have to prioritize which ones you're going to invest in. I also have been trying this year, being married, trying to have a better start to my day by having a calming morning routine and avoid rushing things. So I try to prepare things like my lunch and my outfit the night before, and then it gives me more time in the morning to be spiritually disciplined in devotion and prayer. I make sure I try to go to church, the church that's associated with my school when I can. My husband preaches at a different place, so sometimes I'll go there too, but I try to balance it because I am a called worker here and I want my students to see me at church as an adult that cares for their spiritual well-being. And then we also all know to eat healthy, stay fit, stay hydrated. And if you don't do those things, forgive yourself. None of these things are meant to make you feel guilty, but instead they're recommendations that you know will help you. So that's what I have so far. Michaela, I know that you noted a few other things.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of jumping way back to the beginning, thinking about those organizations. Esther mentioned that she uses file folders to kind of organize her days. Just another way that I do it. I work with another teacher. We team teach. And so that's a lot to keep track of. We also have an aide. So I make copies, she makes copy, Sam is making copies. So kind of just to having a dumping spot for all of those to be for the right day. We use one of those like rainbow carts. I'm sure we can all picture it. And just at the top, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we use a second one for if we have anything for the next week already, it can right away get put into the right day and we don't end up with extra stacks here or there that then we're trying to track things down. So just another thought if you're trying to still find something that fits for you. Also, when you're doing your planning, once you have done your lesson, we all know every lesson never goes exactly as you planned it in your head because you're cut short on time because chapel ran long or something happened and you were like, oh my goodness, I thought that direction was so clear, but clearly it wasn't. And now we have a mess. And you should decide that, next time I want to redo how I did this. Or, oh, I did it this way instead this year and it worked so much better. Go and take the 2 seconds to just go put that into your planning book for the year of, hey, I changed this. For example, last year I did a cut and paste for facts that are true and facts that were false for math. And the cut and paste took forever to cut all the tiny little pieces and then them finding the right equation and then putting it in the right spot. So this year I was like, you know what? We're just going to color them instead. And so I put that into our plan. So next year when I see it, I'm right away going to go, you know what? There's a better way to do this than the cut and paste that it looks like, and just kind of refresh my brain instead of always rethinking things each year. Thinking a little bit of ways to help yourself not get so overwhelmed. I'm a person who likes to say yes, and I'm a person who really does not like to say no. So if that is you, I would like you to hear that it is okay to say no. There's always going to be more opportunities for you to join that coaching staff you really would think you want to be a part of. Jumping into teaching is a lot. There's a lot of places that you're asked to help for that you have to. There's places that people are like, hey, we really need coaches. You want to come coach? And as fun as it is, and I totally suggest getting into coaching if you're not in it at some point, if it feels overwhelming, it's going to be overwhelming. And to hold off for a little bit will be okay. There will always be somebody, a parent or another staff member or someone, while you get your feet under you for your year of teaching or whatever new thing is happening for you this year, they'll be okay. And it's not going to fall off the face of the planet just because you said no this one time. Thinking about some communication strategies as well with parents. If you're talking to just one parent, it's huge if you're able to have some of those being face-to-face. Esther kind of mentioned being able to go to the church that you're connected to or any of those events that are being held, being able to create a connection with those parents in an area that is not just your classroom and not just their child's education makes those education and could be awkward conversations so much more natural because you already have something that you connect with that parent on. If it's just the daily things, find a way that maybe works well for you. We do a daily folder in first grade and we just have it labeled as a homework side and a keep at home side so parents really easily know, oh, this is what we need to do. And sometimes the homework side is what people need to like sign church attendance and it's homework more for parents, or maybe it's just like, hey, reminder, we have a walkathon tomorrow, make sure you wear the right shoes. But it just makes a nice easy spot for parents to kind of catch all those quick daily communications. In terms of whole class, making sure that you pick something that works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to stick with it. So like my first year, I was like, oh, I'm going to have a newsletter and I'm going to tell parents everything that we're doing in every single subject because they want to know what their kids are doing. And, I just feel like that will be so helpful. And I quickly fell out of it because I was writing like pages worth to these parents that I was like, no one is reading what I am writing and I'm wasting my time. So I stopped doing it. So I've switched to doing a newsletter still that's weekly, but it just has like a little blurb and it talks about like the big things like a science experiment or something like that. That's more the fun part. And then just a quick, oh, this is what we're learning about as general subjects. And then a note section. Hey, this fundraiser is coming up. This is a thing that you need to send back. Oh, we're singing in church this weekend. If you're not going to be there, you need to email the choir director. And just makes it kind of quick and easy for parents to look at too. So when I'm asking for them to look at it, it's not a ridiculous request. Keeping it simple is huge. If there's any changes, making sure that, especially if it's a last minute change, you communicate that in multiple ways. Put a note in that folder, send out a quick email, just because just like you communicate in some ways, some parents might communicate in others, and making sure that they're prepared for what you need their kid to be prepared for is very helpful. Esther kind of touched on this part earlier as well, but making sure you set those boundaries of communication. Parents kind of fall into that same world that the kids do, and they think sometimes their teachers just live at school. And the reality is none of us do. So making sure that you kind of set that expectation, whether that's at a meeting right away at the beginning of the year, where you're like, hey, feel free to email me whenever you'd like, but I'm letting you know now. I will respond to them between these times. If you get one outside of those times, lucky you. You won the lottery that day. But making sure that they understand that you have a life as well, because sometimes it just doesn't cross their mind. But having that boundary set early is very helpful. Those are the comments that I kind of had to add. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, we'd be happy to have some conversation and take some questions.
Yeah, so as we get ready for questions here, please put them in. And I should say, we're here with Will Van too, who is our manager of online and support services, who sets up these Zoom events and everything else. Will monitors chat, so feel free to do that. Or there's also, if you're watching on Facebook or somewhere else, you can put a comment on there and we'll monitor that and ask. Great job, a lot to unpack there, I would say. Especially a few things that I'll kind of, as we wait and see if there are some questions. Michaela, you talked about the walkathon. I think it's tomorrow, coming up.
Mm-hmm.
As a new teacher, new to your building, maybe you taught for 20 years, but it's a new school to you. Sometimes there's a lot of things that are happening that you may not know about, or you might not want to ask the question about. Like you said, what to wear for the walkathon, or what the kids should wear. What should I wear as a teacher? And when do I show up, and how does this thing work? Hopefully you have a mentor at your school that's a mentor teacher. These are some of the things that we do in these Zoom sessions too with Michaela and Esther, is talk about, how to ask those questions or who to ask the questions to. But that just popped in my head because sometimes we forget, and when I say we, I mean whether it's fellow teachers, administrators, we do it year after year. So of course, we don't even think to inform someone new that this walkathon tomorrow, that wear your tennis shoes and shorts and t-shirt, that's fine, or whatever the case may be. And also how to interact with your kids. Do I keep them all together? Do they mix? What if they take off and they're with another grade ahead of me? Do I worry about this? Just some of those logistics. And you hit on, my advice is always ask. Even if you think it's your first year, don't be scared, ask. And people are always willing to help. And a lot of times we'll go, oh, I'm sorry, I should have told you more about this. So ask your fellow teachers. It's much better to do that than to go through the event and worry about it and hope you get to the end and you didn't mess anything up, or whatever the case may be. Routines, not only at school, but also at home too, because it's new, right? I mean, I'm sure the two of you are figuring this out. How do I have this new routine? Because it's not me anymore, and I kind of have more control over that, or where I eat, or when I eat, or just all these nuances. And you're right about the newsletters, the other things. You want to communicate, but you don't want to overwhelm yourself or the parents. And also with that, you want to make sure it's always easier to add something on than it is to take something away, I think. So it's better, you said, keep it simple, especially right away. You can always get your feet under you a little bit, get accustomed to what's going on in the school and the parents and the students and the routines of the school, let alone your routines. And then you can add a little, newsletter, or I know a lot of teachers now, I'm not sure Will would probably know what the way to post like little pictures of what's going on throughout the day or something like that. That's kind of easier to do. And pictures are always worth 1,000 words, right? So sometimes that's a little easier way to do it. But build into it. Don't overwhelm yourself in the beginning. And, I love, it's okay to say no. This is the case with, you're at a school, you love kids, you love to teach, you love the interactions, and you do always kind of want to say yes, and it's harder to say no because you think you're letting someone down. But if you add too much, you're not going to be at your best in terms of caring for the students and teaching in the classroom and being there for your colleagues when you're doing all this as well. So if you're overwhelmed and you can't be at your best, it's much better to say no, right? than to say yes and not be doing a great job and not be comfortable with what you're doing. And then both of you hit on one of the biggest elements of teaching. We hear it all the time. We talk about it all the time, going to National Lutheran School Accreditation, whatever else. A real strength of all of our Lutheran schools is it's like family because it's relational. You build relationships. So you, Michaela and Esther, probably don't run into it quite as much because, Green Bay and Oviedo, a little bit bigger places. But a lot of teachers in smaller towns, and we have a lot of schools in small towns throughout our country, you're going to run into your kids going into the store, going into a restaurant, and those kids, in first, second grade, they'll be excited in 10th and 11th grade. They just won't let you know it. But first and second grade and so on, they're going to be just overjoyed to see who is this person that is in my classroom every day and what are they doing out of the classroom having a life? This makes no sense to me. So take that opportunity, and think about that too, especially as a newer teacher. How do you encounter that? Because make sure, acknowledge the child, and you don't have to take that much time away. But say hello, how you doing? Oh, it's so great to see you. You're going to make their day, their night, their week, and even their month by doing so. And then think about how far that goes in the classroom. That's the other thing. Parent communication right away, those open lines of communication, building those relationships with the child, all of those things help in the classroom. They help the student turn in assignments. They help with discipline issues, and they take those away. All of those elements go so far to the classroom, and therefore to you as a teacher, being able to accomplish what you need to accomplish. And part of that is just the joy and fun, right? Because we're in it to see these kids grow and develop into what God has called them to be. So I don't know if you want to expand on any of those items or if we have another question.
Yeah, so just jumping on what you had said for posting those photos, first always make sure you understand your school social media policy, who can and can't be pictured, right? I always have to throw that out there. I remember my first year teaching, I did that, not thinking anything of it, and I got a little bit in trouble. But so it's always good. Don't be afraid to ask if you don't know what it is. And if you are using a closed system like Seesaw, those parents have already agreed to it. You should already know. And, parents, grandparents always love seeing their little ones pictured and having a good time in the classroom. The other thing I was going to say was just also your own personal social media profiles. I think this was a big one I learned as a first-year teacher. Make sure you know what's actually on there. I always think it's important, if you're not going to lock it down, go back and maybe clean it up. We've all said or posted things that maybe don't represent us anymore, but just go back and make sure you know what's actually on there before someone tries to dig that up on you.
And I will say this as an administrator, that was probably one of the things that came to my email inbox the most. And I was an administrator before so much of this is even out now. Believe it or not, we did have Facebook at that time and some other things, but I would get parents who would screenshot something and email it to me. And look, you got to remember, even if it's closed down, you're probably going to have a friend that has another friend and they end up seeing something. And remember who you are, where you're teaching, how you should represent. And some of those things might seem as innocent as, I just reposted something from someone else. But it's something to pay attention to. So think about that. And again, if you're not sure, all schools should have it. I'll say most do, and the ones that don't should have a social media policy in terms of your social media as a teacher and what the expectations are. And again, the two of you hit it so well. Will said, ask. That's one of the biggest things. That's why we run these Zooms, right? Is sharing of the tips, tools of the trade, but to ask questions with and from one another so that we can help and grow, encourage and support. We want every educator to be successful and know that you have support out there.
We do have a comment from the Kansas District Education Executive, Jim Bradshaw.
My good friend Jim Bradshaw.
He does say he's
Yeah.
thankful for LCMS School Ministry offering this great online resource opportunity. And he wants to say thank you to the teachers who shared their ideas and experiences. God bless you all. That is another great connection right there that I didn't realize when I was a first-year teacher is your education executive and all the great opportunities that are out there in your district as well. So that's always a great resource to be connected, connecting our school theme too.
Well, that is a great resource. And to be quite honest, even though I knew our education executive in the district where I was serving, I didn't really know what an education executive did until I became one.
Oh, what do you do then?
Yeah. Well,
Ask.
I still don't know if I know what they do, but yeah, connections, right? That's our theme for the year. Maybe Michaela, Esther, you have some recommendations too on how to be connected, how to develop those connections. What do you do?
I say go to devotions and Bible study when your staff is allowed to. We do daily devotions or prayer in the mornings here, and it's a good way to see each other right away in the morning to start off strong. And we schedule our plan time so that I can meet with the other fourth grade teachers. And then I also, we in third through fifth grade try to get together about once a month just to go out to Rock and Brews and catch up. We haven't done it much yet, but again, it's still the beginning of the school year. And we did it once, and it was just a great way to get to know each other on a personal level. And I feel like the more we understand each other's personalities and what's going on in their lives, the better we can help them as teachers as well. And it really bonds the team when a whole bunch of people get together. I know our third grade teachers sometimes get together for coffee before school, and then they drink the rest of it in the morning. So they save some to help them get through the school day, but it gives them that time to bond, which is really special. And a lot of schools will assign you a mentor, whether you're a brand new teacher or just new to the school or the subject area. And those mentors can be a really valuable resource, but you can also choose other people to be your mentor, someone that you click well with, or someone that you just notice doing a lot of things well. You can ask anyone to be your mentor, whether it's official or not. And oftentimes the unofficial ones are the ones that you will continue going back to year after year. Sometimes that's the case with your assigned mentor as well, in which cases like that is just amazing.
Yeah, similarly, we do daily devotions each morning too, and making a point to try to get to those, even if trying to finish those last minute things before the school day starts, is a nice time to just kind of take a moment to relax and be in fellowship with the people you're working with, and getting to know even like their prayer requests and hearing those things that are going on in their life kind of helps you understand maybe where they're more at going into their day as well, and what ways you can help them. Our school is blessed to be able to do a back to school retreat for the staff, and we're able to take our school staff and our church staff, and we typically go to, normally it's like a camp. So like Camp Luther is one that we've done up in northern Wisconsin. And it's just time to, we try to not bring a ton of meeting stuff up there, but sometimes there's a little bit, but time to kind of meet with the people from the grades above you and below you, anyone that you're working with that year, and just enjoy being with each other, doing normal people things instead of completely focusing on school the entire time, and kind of takes a moment to take a deep breath and relax before we get into our school year. And I know a lot of us really enjoy that time. During the school year, we also tried, I don't know, about once a month-ish, I would say, to pick a Friday that we're able to kind of all go out and go to happy hour after school for those who are available. And kind of having those on a repetitive cycle allows different types of people who are like, maybe if you're coaching at the beginning of the year and you can't go, well, they're still happening in the winter, so you'll be able to join us then. And it kind of makes a easy way for everybody to see each other outside and in a more relaxed way, creating those personal relationships like Esther was talking about, where you're able just to be there more for one another. If you're not like new to your school, if you're one of the teachers who maybe has a little bit of knowledge of what's going on, being able to just drop in a room and say, hey, like, how was your day? Like, do you have any questions? Giving them the opportunity to ask some questions is always nice as a person who probably doesn't want to go ask the question. It's always nice if someone kind of opens up that door for you a little bit.
Yeah, great points. Esther, you're right about the mentor assignments. A lot of our schools will assign a mentor, right? And both of you probably had one at some point in time. We actually did a survey of our teachers asking that question. And what we found is that the assigned mentor to the mentee, that the mentee-mentor relationship fell apart during the school year. It wasn't all that strong, but they gravitated to someone else. And that's the big thing, is do gravitate to somebody else. It doesn't always work out. We saw it work out like 9% of the time in our survey, which was fine because they found someone else that really fulfilled that function and provided for them all of these elements, bringing them in, talking with them, giving them ideas. You will gravitate to someone on staff. Sometimes it will be that assigned one. Often, as we know, it will not, and that's fine. Utilize the person that you're comfortable with and ask those questions and pop into their room. And I don't know if either one of you had this happen to you. I was guilty of this as a teacher who was on staff for a long time, and school can overwhelm you, right? I mean, you can immerse yourself 24/7 and still not have everything done. So do drop. And, everything isn't always going to be perfect. Pull yourself away, go to the faculty meeting, go to the devotion in the morning, go to the happy hour, do that. You need to have those connections and relationships, and that promotes that health that you need in all of those ways and the support that you need. And I will also encourage, I know the two of you don't do this, but again, I did this, unfortunately. I'll show some of my flaws, I won't show them all. But I didn't, as a veteran teacher, always reach out to the new teacher because I was doing things and I just it didn't enter in my mind because you get caught in your own world. As a new or newer teacher, it's okay to walk into somebody's classroom and just say, hey, how's it going? How was your day? Mine was a little bit weird. Was yours a little weird? Or, you know what? I had a really great day today. How was your day? And if you open those channels, they'll stop to think, oh, wait a minute. Why am I not over there helping this person out and asking that? And you'll probably find that'll flip then and they'll start making sure, hey, I need to check on this person and ask them what's going on. And they obviously feel comfortable coming to me, so I need to start picking that up and doing it. I'm sure the two of you are much better at that than I was.
I hope to be.
Yeah, well, it's always interesting that way. You learn a lot of lessons, even as a veteran teacher. You learn a lot of lessons. So, but yeah, be connected though, and teaching is funny that way, isn't it? You're in a classroom with the kids all day. Michaela, at least your team teaching, so you get to see another adult, what's going on. But sometimes you'll get in there in the morning. You'll be surrounded by kids. You might have lunch duty or something else going on. You may not see an adult until 4:00, and then they're all leaving. And you're thinking, wait a minute, hang on, I got to talk to somebody that's over 5-6 years old. Make sure that you're having those interactions and utilizing that time to do so. And sometimes that means, hey, you don't need to go make a copy at this time. You can wait. Or coffee in the morning, third grade team is meeting, or third through fifth grade's meeting. Yeah, I need to be there. And if it means that, hey, I gotta drop this little piece in the morning. I always see these comments out there, and it's so true. They won't remember what they did in third grade, but they'll remember who their teacher was in third grade and fifth grade. building those relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that you throw all the curriculum out, right? Otherwise, we'd fail you with NLSA. Remember that, Michaela. But but it does mean, don't forget all of what is truly important of building those relationships, building the connections, letting the kids see you as the individual and as the person. Same thing with the parents. And things will fall together and become much easier in terms of being a teacher. Or at least I think they will. That's my advice. All right, any more questions, Will? Otherwise,
No, I don't have any questions. Last chance. Going once? Going twice? No?
it's like the school auction. I don't know how much money we raised, but we'll see what we can do next time. Great big thank you to Michaela and Esther. Thank you to all of you who have joined with us today in our first of this school year.
Yeah, make sure you share it with all your friends, teachers, new teachers, current teachers.
Absolutely. That is the nice thing, that all of these are recorded, available for you to watch on demand. Will, where do we find the on demand?
You can find that on our YouTube, LCMS School Ministry, or Facebook, which is also LCMS School Ministry. Connect with us there. And if you are a Lutheran educator and you're not aware, please do join our #LuthEd Facebook group. There is a lot of great connections that happen in there. Throw out questions, ideas, and you'll always get someone who responds. It's pretty great.
Excellent. Thank you, Michaela and Esther. We will be back doing this again in October. It's hard to believe, October is kind of conference time for educators, different events going on. I know you have some tips for them about that and some other wonderful tips. Be ready for your questions in October, and we will see you in just about a month. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Michaela and Esther. Thank you for watching. See everyone in October. Blessings on the rest of the month of September.
Right?